Greg. Thank everyone for attending this afternoon session. I'm going to tell you a little bit about a project we've been working on for about 16 months actually in the field over the course of the last 2 years, having taken a relatively unexplored asset to where we now have over 300 drill holes and an emerging discovery. Read the usual disclaimers. What we try and offer here is a very unique, high-grade, large-scale gold deposit that's emerging here. Very strong shareholder base that's allowed this to happen, and I think will facilitate our future growth. Very experienced technical team that we've recently augmented with adding the former VP of Exploration of Anglo for Greenfields Exploration to head our exploration, Rex Bromaker. And strong management that's certainly got a lot of knowledge with the local community as well as the financial markets. In addition, we have another asset called Brewery Creek that's got almost a little over 800,000 ounces of oxide resources that are 43101, but we won't be talking about that because it, quite frankly, pales by comparison to what we're working on at Three Aces, but it does provide a foundation of value. Here's a map of the Yukon. You can see where the two properties are, Three Aces being the flagship project in the southeast corner, right on the NWT border. Our capital structure, we've got about a $77 million market cap. Myself, Eric Sprott, Rob McEwen, Pat DiCapo being the major shareholders. You can see the chart has been a bit in the doldrums for a while, but that was just because of the stellar start we had last year when we first started hitting some spectacular high grade. On the board, I'm not going to read through this, but I would like to acknowledge a couple of the folks, including former Premier of the Yukon, Dennis Fende, who's in the audience here, as well as Richard Goldfarb, who's a new addition and considered the world's leading authority on orogenic gold deposits. And having him join our board along with Rex as the Director of Exploration is really a testament to the project, I think. First Nations relations, it's a cornerstone of everything we've done in the Yukon. We've been there working since 2009, and quite frankly, we view it as if it doesn't make sense for the whole community, it doesn't make sense for us or our shareholders. And so we spend a great deal of effort and to bring everyone along in the community. And I think that's something that we've really set the bar for in the Yukon and hopefully elsewhere. So I'd like to see that. That obviously will be continuing. The Three Aces project, you've seen this map before, those of you that are familiar with the property. This is based on geology that had just been, this is such a new emerging district. Up until about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, this was all one block of brown mass on the map called undifferentiated sediments. And we've done a bunch of sporadic soil sampling. There's outcrops to 1,000 gram per ton in quartz veins on the property. But the area is just being explored, and it's very large, 357 square kilometers, more than 40 kilometers along the northwest-southeast direction. And it's displayed a very strong mineralized trend throughout that area. But I'm going to show you how we've taken this map and evolved it just over the course of the last year to where we now have a very comprehensive model that's going to guide our exploration going forward. Also, you may see there we're road accessible with the Nahanni Range Road, named in a recent grant by the federal government for upgrading infrastructure in the Yukon. So we're quite pleased to see the federal support as well. All of the work to date has occurred in the central core area, which you can see here is the largest anomaly. Other than soils, which we've done throughout the district. So I'll be speaking a bit about this, and then I'll be going into the Sproggie area, which while we've had an option on the property for the entire time we've been working there, we just recently consolidated ownership of it, and now we own 100% of it. And we quite frankly haven't been willing to talk much about it until we got 100% of it, but it's a very exciting addition to what we're doing. This is a blow-up of the central core area that I just mentioned. During the course of the time we've been working there, we put 26 kilometers of roads in. Like I say, almost 300 drill holes and established mineralization at each of the symbols that you see on the map. Quite a large area, about 3 to 4 kilometers in either direction, north, south, or east, west. This is an aerial view of it. You can see it's a rather rugged topography. It certainly presents some challenges in winter, but we are year-round accessible and have a bridge across the river there and drive right up to the site, drive right up to the operations. Picture of our winter drilling, not from this year. This year we actually knocked off a bit early. This is from the year before in December. Does kind of illustrate some of the conditions though. And I think it's a good idea to indicate the success rate. Most of our 300 holes have had very good results with either disseminated lower grade mineralization or very high grade mineralization. And clearly a third of them have been over 5 gram intercepts with over a quarter of them over 8 gram intercepts. So just very successful drilling. We did do a bulk sample in 2016. These are the dimensions and where we took it. You can also see in a greater expanded area how it fits in to a bigger area. That was recently completed. We indicate about 95% recovery with gravity only. And we don't do this for the economics, although it is a positive cash flow for us, but we do it for testing so we'll understand the metallurgy of this deposit. Only being 2 years in and establishing that it's very metallurgically favorable is quite a benefit for us and for any potential partner coming along down the road. You can see in this slide the areas that we've continued to drill on close space drilling to define for potential future bulk sampling. The new model, and this is where we go, this is a conceptual model, and I brought along a bit of an aid. We're going to spend the rest of the time looking at the corridor here between the central core and the Sprague. You see the two big red lines. I brought a little prop here to help you understand that. That basically is just sedimentary rocks that start flat and have been folded. This is called an anticline. It's basically an arch in the rocks. Those of you familiar with petroleum or other types of geology, the hot fluids carrying the gold migrate up to the top and accumulate along the limbs, which are structures, and at the top. At Sprague, this is sitting upright and has been decapitated, so you have two limbs, much like this. In the central core area, it's laying over on its side. And that represents the two lines that we can trace for 40 kilometers along strike, these being the most favorable areas. This is a close-up of that. Here again, the blue clouds are soil geochemistry, and you can see it mirrors almost exactly the trace of this anticline. All of our drilling to date has been along the southern one with only a minor drilling on the northern one. And here again, confirming the integrity of this model. We see the same thing in outcrop at Sprague with higher grade samples than we see actually in the central core area, and our initial drilling will begin there this year. Here's a kind of a cross-section through it. Here again, very simplistic, but you've got shales, very platy soft rocks in the middle, a conglomerate that's very hard. You have movement along that creating fractures, and you have a mirror image of it up here. These are the two red traces that run 40 kilometers along the property. So we've got a tremendous world-class exploration project that we're quite confident will yield very good results coming forward, continued. The 2018 work plan is designed with a couple of things in mind. First off, we're going to lead the drilling to some sort of a resource outline towards the end of the year in the central core area, and more importantly, to connect that mineralization with the Sprague area. That's 8 kilometers away. If we're able to systematically step out along those structures that we verified have existed and prove things up along that 8 kilometers, you're looking at quite a deposit in itself. And we always have to end with a little bit of blue sky and proof that we found out where the gold is under the rainbow. Thank you.